Michael Nostradamus. Was it therefore a god who wrote these things? Michel de Nostradam, who later altered his name by Latinizing it in accordance with the custom of the time to Nostradamus, was born in Saint-Remy in Provence in the year 1503, on the 14th day, a Thursday in the month of December, precisely around noon. Even to a novice in astrology, before delving into the intricacies of casting horoscopes, the significance of the unusual hour in which the child was conceived would not go unnoticed, hinting at an extraordinary destiny. Michael's father, James de Nostradam, a notary in the small town where Michel was born, and his mother, Renata of Saint-Remy, were respectively the children of the Italian Pietro di Nostradona and Giovanni of Saint-Remy, both physicians and astrologers. Pietro di Nostradona had come to France in the entourage of his lord, Renato d'Anjou, King of Jerusalem and Sicily, Count of Provence. He had met Giovanni de Saint-Remy at the court of the son of the Good King, John II, King of Navarre and Duke of Calabria. These two learned physicians, distinguished by their experience and knowledge from other courtiers, were highly regarded as excellent advisors by their respective sovereigns. Given the frequent nature of their interactions, a deep friendship blossomed between them. Eager to solidify this bond, they decided to unite their families through a blood tie. Thus came the day when the sole heir of James married the only daughter of Renato, and from their union, Michael was born. Rarely could more favorable circumstances have arisen for the young boy. When he reached the age of learning, instead of choosing a tutor, his grandparents themselves took charge of his education. As a result, the teenager not only mastered the Latin, Greek, and Hebrew languages, but also delved into mathematics applied to astrology. Simultaneously, from his ancestors, he received uncommon knowledge regarding the medicinal and healing virtues of herbs, plants, metals, and stones. Through a subtle technique known only to the initiated, he became able to extract the quintessences necessary for the preparation of medicines. These insights and the possibilities they brought were increasingly revealed to him. As Nostradamus asserts in a letter to his son Cesare, this knowledge came not only from the teachings of his grandparents, but also from what he progressively learned by deciphering cryptic symbols and interpreting mysterious pentacles and seals reproduced in volumes that had been hidden for centuries. In those ancient manuscripts, not only were the most intricate magical formulas faithfully reproduced, but also the sacred characters through which they had been composed in the initiatic centers of ancient Egypt, the words of power unknown to the vast majority of men. Through Moses, these invaluable knowledge had reached the descendants of Issachar, and it is precisely to this tribe that esoteric tradition attributes the origin of Nostradamus' ancestors. According to the Bible, special gifts and knowledge for predicting the future were granted to the chosen ones who belonged to this tribe. With the disappearance of the therapists, the Essene Masters of Justice, and the destruction of the impious one of Jerusalem, the golden chain that had transmitted the sacred memories was not, contrary to what was supposed, broken. Instead, the sacred texts ultimately reached the grandparents of Michel. Concerned that such treasures might be lost or dispersed, they eagerly poured everything they had learned from them into the single belief. Like his predecessors, the great seer always preserved the invaluable legacy with jealous care. To consult the masters capable of interpreting the darkest parts, he did not hesitate to undertake long and challenging journeys. Although his ancestors had converted to Christianity for centuries, the astonishing predictions of Nostradamus caused too much sensation for the Inquisition to forget his origins. Towards the end of his earthly existence, despite always behaving as a good Catholic and being more concerned for his children than for himself regarding the rigor of the inexorable institution, Nostradamus burned the documents whose content he had memorized. In a preface to the centuries dedicated to his son Cesare, Nostradamus recounts that, while the papyrus was burning, a flame brighter than any other flame emerged, so much so that it seemed a supernatural light suddenly illuminated the scene. When the adolescent reached the prescribed age, he was sent to Avignon to complete his studies in literature. Subsequently, having decided to pursue the same profession as his grandparents, he enrolled at the University of Montpellier, which, in addition to being the most famous medical faculty in France, was widely known for the liberal spirit of its professors. Students attending were not required to have nationality or religious faith, so Arabs and Jews flocked there in large numbers, contributing to making the education rich and varied, diverging significantly from the norm. During that time, the terrifying scourge of the bubonic plague spread rapidly throughout Europe. The inexperienced student dedicated himself to assisting the afflicted, accompanying his mentors wherever their intervention was needed. He could then observe that physicians remained firmly anchored to ancient habits in every circumstance. Deeming the adopted methods insufficient to eradicate the disease, Nostradamus explicitly declared that a careful observation of the patient, combined with repeated analyses of secretions and all the fumigations with amber and musk invariably prescribed to wealthy clients, were much more effective. These harsh criticisms did not go without consequences in the relationships the young man had with his professors. When, impatient with every restriction, he left the city to dedicate his care to the sick in the surrounding countryside, many illustrious doctors hoped not to see him return. For 4 years, his wandering persisted, and the obscure student, employing treatment methods scorned by his mentors, managed to achieve healings considered miraculous in Aix, Lyon, Salon, Narbonne, Toulouse, Bordeaux. His fame preceded him wherever he went, and in Avignon, much to the displeasure of the city's physicians, he was summoned to the bedside of the Cardinal of Clermont, the pontifical legate, as well as by the Grand Master of the Knights of Malta. With the plague finally subdued, Nostradamus returned to Montpellier. In the presence of a large audience, grateful for the benefits received and eager to warmly express their sympathy, he presented his thesis. Despite the clearly expressed hostility of the examiners, his was a true triumph that concluded with a general celebration. The miraculous healer at 26 could now boast the golden ring, the emblem of his rank, and, adorned with the black four-pointed hat and red tassel, donned the robe trimmed with ermine, aligning himself among the followers of Galen. Having no reason to stay in a city where all his colleagues were hostile, Nostradamus resumed his wandering. At least, that's what his biographers claim, while the esoteric tradition attributes a specific purpose to his bewildering movements. Like the endless journeys of his contemporary colleague Paracelsus, the young doctor's travels had the same goal, as previously mentioned, to meet with other venerable brothers, belonging to the same mysterious order of which he was a member. End of part 1.